As I said before, we have a lot of similarities to talk about. We've obviously had 2 excellent days, or we're about to have the second of those 2 days here. If you could tell us a little bit about the unique cybersecurity concerns for Ferrari in particular, and what does cybersecurity represent for a company like Ferrari? Maybe Piero, if you want to kick that one off.
Maybe I will start with this answer. First of all, good morning all. Well, let me say, it's not a matter of if, but it's a matter of when, because this is nothing true only for Ferrari, but also for other relevant companies with strong brands, important reputation, and I think that this is a sort of our mantra: be ready to manage an adverse event. This is, I think, a good answer to your question.
Well, maybe now, Florin and Andrei, if we could get your opinion on this. The threat landscape obviously is becoming increasingly difficult to navigate, and it's becoming increasingly complex as well, as you know from the world of cybersecurity. In a survey that Bitdefender recently conducted of IT security professionals, they reported deep concerns regarding protecting their environments from software vulnerabilities. Zero-day attacks, phishing, and social engineering and ransomware. So how does Bitdefender address the increasing number, but also the complexity of these attacks in this environment?
So, we are in the business of trust, in fact, as cybersecurity providers. So it's about, let's say, how consistent are you as a cybersecurity company providing the support your customer need. So looking to how are we managing the threat changing one, this is the reality. And looking to by the number of new categories of threats, we talk about hundreds per day and so on, you have to adapt and you have to invest the right resources there. So if we look to Bitdefender, for example, as a company, as like any other company, we stay on our people and teams, okay? And we have a long history of collaboration with the education system to recruit the right talents. Let's say we are growing them as cybersecurity professionals, and half of our team is in fact engaged in R&D. So this is our approach, but don't forget, it's about technology and looking to the landscape, but also listening to the pain and needs our customers have. So it's both looking to the attack landscape and working closely with our customers. That's the best way.
And Andrei, can you expand on that a little bit from your position?
For sure. Just to add to what Florin said, the threat landscape is really interesting, and it goes hand in hand with how IT infrastructures really evolve over time. And this goes back to some of the conversation we were having earlier, right? The infrastructures of today are quite different from the infrastructures from 10 years ago or 20 years ago. And with the increasing complexity of the IT landscape itself, you are automatically increasing the complexity of the infrastructure, and you're always opening new pathways to really being attacked. That's where the complexity is sourced. Now, from our perspective, you can really view it as a constant effort to really understand infrastructures, create solutions and technologies that provide the right level of insight and understanding of those infrastructures, and building the right safeguards in a sense. That's why in the industry, regardless of how many acronyms we choose to use, we have enough of those in the industry. You hear about things like endpoint detection and response, XDR. These types of solutions are really designed to view infrastructures at a more detailed level, correlating threats and understanding attack surfaces across multiple types of infrastructures, very different, and really make develop ways in which we can create safeguards and proactive detections.
It's definitely a complex world, and technology never stands still, nor does it slow down. So maybe the next question I'll direct to both you, Luca and Silvia. Let's talk about intellectual property on the Ferrari side of things, and I guess protecting that is obviously going to be an incredibly important part. How is that differentiated for you at Ferrari?
So the intellectual property, but data in general, are of course one of the biggest assets we have, whether it's company relevant information like the mathematics, the technical details of the cars, racing cars, or sport cars, whether it's customer data, whether it's employee data, all of them are really assets that you need to protect. So it's one of the areas where we invest most, the protection of those data. And so it's really a matter of continuously learning and evolving. That's why innovation also on data protection, on everything you can do to really assess where the data are, what are the possible threats, what are the possible countermeasures. So it's something that we pay a lot of attention. As we mentioned before, it's a matter of if and not when, not if. So you need to be ready. The only thing you can do is be ready and try to prevent as much as possible. We do a lot of, for example, we do a lot of awareness raising in our colleagues on phishing, on these kind of threats, for example. So it's a constant learning for us, for our team, for the company itself, and learning from partners is key because you cannot do it internally, only internally.
Yeah, and Luca, obviously.
Oh yes, thank you, Silvia, for reminding me how many data we manage, process, and we must protect. Thank you very much. Let me add just a single comment on what Silvia just shared. Is that okay? I think that from a technical point of view, we have to have really clear in our mind the possible attack surfaces, our boundaries, and so we have to put in place a sort of complex ecosystem of security measures, not just one, more than one, as also Andrei said, in the sense that if one measure fail, maybe, or we hope that another set of measures are under and can maintain the same level of cybersecurity on our system.
Well, I guess we've got two experts here from Bitdefender to sort of to maybe discuss what you would put forward as to customers. What is the best practices for protecting data and keeping intellectual property safe? Let's start with you, Andrei.
Look, it's exactly what Luca said. Everything starts with understanding your attack surface. If you don't have a fairly good understanding of your attack surface, which by the way is a moving target as those infrastructures evolve, you won't be in a very good position to make those educated decisions in terms of what type of security safeguards you need and where, and then what you need to monitor, analyze continuously so you can drive decision making. I often find in customer conversations that we think about what's most precious for the organization as being something that exists in a certain part of that organization, and we're trying to focus a lot on securing that like it was in somehow of a bubble. It's not really a valid approach because the correct way to approach it is applying those concepts that are decades old in cybersecurity defense in depth, again, layering security safeguards. You cannot have the crown jewels protected without securing your weakest links. Everything starts from there. And if you make a mistake in a configuration, in your cloud infrastructure, or in your internal infrastructure, that can often, if not abused directly, can make an attacker's life much, much easier once they get that initial foothold through something trivial like some sort of a spear phishing attack, and attackers can simply access the environment and start moving laterally. That's why I'll keep going back to the level of visibility and security analytics you need to have deployed in your infrastructure are critical, because you do want to be informed of those early signs so you can take action fairly quickly. I think that's critical. Florin, if you want to add something.
He's nailed it. Absolutely nothing to add. That's it. Well, let's move on then to the topic, and it's a hot topic. It's a topic of AI. I think many of us were perhaps caught by surprise with how quickly AI technology has been developing. I think it's almost in the news every day. We're seeing it interrupting all sorts of industries, and there's a lot of commentary about it. I think we're already seeing cyber criminals start to take advantage of this as well. Additionally, here in Italy, ChatGPT had been banned. It's obviously just been overturned as being banned. So I think, Silvia and Luca, what are your thoughts on AI and its impact on cybersecurity from a perspective of Ferrari?
Okay, I have two different points of view. The first one maybe is negative, and the one is the positive. Starting with the negative. I think that we are dealing with a new technology exactly as happened in the past. But now we're facing a new potential negative effects. I think that it's caused because we are facing a liberalization of this new technology that are now more easy to use. It's not require high skill, and as I said before, the potential negative effect should be or could be very dangerous for the companies. The positive point of view is that we can use this kind of technology to enhance, to reinforce our existing system or our security system, to introduce some capabilities and to be maybe faster in the detection, faster in the responsive action, and so on. So I have not a clear point of view. I have a
double take on it. So, well, perhaps Silvia, then maybe you could expand on that sort of good or bad. What is your take on the emergence of AI?
I tend to be optimistic, and I tend to see the positive side of those things, of those technologies and technology innovation. Innovation is really the engine of progress, and that's what is in our DNA, and what I found was in the DNA of Bitdefender and the persons I met. And so artificial intelligence is such a potentially powerful tool for all the forecasting, for computer vision, for lots of fields, and we are exploring many of them. So it's huge potentials, and you don't need to be afraid. Of course, there needs to be cautious, and that's why I Luca with me. But it's really being open to innovation, which is our mantra, which I think explains also very much of our success. This will to progress is something that our founder gave us as inheritance, and that's what we try to implement in our everyday job. And so you cannot be afraid of change. You need to face them and adapt and be ready for that.
Already we're only a few questions into this panel, and I am seeing a lot of similarities here between Ferrari and Bitdefender, which is that it's always a battle against change and being on the forefront of that change. In terms of cybersecurity, we have threats, and obviously with technology, we always have to be pushing technology. So it's quite interesting to see that emerge already. So the mission to stay ahead of cyber criminals has obviously become more difficult. The shortage of trained cybersecurity professionals is one of the biggest challenges, which I think that you'll be able to agree on, Andrei and Mr. Flores as well. I think that we've seen that, as I said, it moves very, very fast. That is quite clear. But the complexity of cybersecurity solutions require qualified professionals to perform the tasks needed to manage incidents and protect IT infrastructures. So, Silvia, I'll ask you first, and then I'll get some comments from you afterwards, Luca. One of Ferrari's core values is the power of team and hiring exceptionally talented individuals. Can you discuss how you recruit and keep cybersecurity talent, and how you are dealing with this increasingly the growing need of great cybersecurity skills?
Yeah, well, we are lucky enough has to have a strong brand, which of course is very attractive to young people, to professionals in general. So we can definitely leverage the Ferrari brand to attract the best talent. But then of course you need to nurture those talents, and that's where we take all the possible leverage in building a wonderful environment, work environment, where of course you have challenges, where you always strive for excellence, which is always a task, but it's how we face it with passion, we face it with teamwork, we face it with continuous learning. It's really, we really see ourselves and we feel ourselves as a learning organization. And I think this is really important for talents that come here and they know that they can learn, that they can see a lot of different businesses, from racing to sports car to lifestyle. They can, be able to work in a unique environment. So it's such a privilege, and you really feel it. I think that the passion you can find in our company, whether it's workers, whether it's professionals, it's really, I wouldn't say unique, but it's very, very strong.
And Luca, you're obviously a part of the team, and do you agree with that?
Yes, for me it's a challenge inside a challenge, because in addition to Silvia just said, I think that the market is very fast nowadays. So also for skilled resources, what we see is that there are high rotation of resources that start in one company, and after 6 months, one year, they jump in another company. And in this field, in particular in cybersecurity, it's really true, because I don't know, new challenges, new interest, and so on. And so we have to create a sort of program to maintain at a certain high level of interest, assure a sort of personal growth as individual and as professional inside this complex team, because cybersecurity belongs to the ICT digital department, which is the ICT basically, and so this is important, maintain a good level of confidence inside our family. So I think it's our other challenge.
Well, Mr. Talpeș, how do you retain top talent over at Bitdefender? We have some of it obviously on the panel today with us.
So before talking about retaining, I should talk a little bit about how do we get that? Because as you mentioned, there is a shortage of skills in the market. Okay? So the issue is, are you digesting what the market has, or are you feeding the market? Okay? In our case, we have picked up the option to feed. What that means, we have a real university in building cybersecurity skills in Bitdefender. So that's why we are collaborating with the education system and universities, but not only universities. We are, let's say, discovering and helping to grow young talents, even in K-12, plus 9 K-12. So we are doing that kind of stuff, and we are doing that for a long while. I talked to Silvia before this panel. Some projects could be very long-term. Like, okay, you could invest for 8 to 10 years to see good benefits, okay, for that. But this is the kind of approach we have taken. So, first of all, we have a kind of university. So, it's also about retention, because young talents are joining us and are with us for a long time. If we take a look to the tech people, let's say, lifespan in Bitdefender, it's a long one. It's a good one. So this is on one side, and on the other side, we are in a good position as a company, because we know that the young today are looking for a mission. Okay, now our mission is to save the digital life of the organizations and the consumers. Okay, and young people could be involved with that kind of mission. Okay, and of course you mentioned the values. There are different values we are sharing with Silvia. Talked about learning and development. I talked about our university, but it's not only once you became a professional, it's about developing more, because you have to keep up. Okay, as you mentioned, everything is dynamic, it's fluid today. So it's a learning and growth mindset in the company, and that's also a retainer.
Yeah, and I think if I can add to that, I think it was really a very interesting conversation because I found so many similarities in what they are doing in cybersecurity in particular, in growing talents, in investing in a long-term project and program for raising the skills, and that's what we are doing in our field. Scuola di mestiere for the workers, and the company is really investing a lot in young people, in young talents, in education, first in education and then in professional growth. So I think it was very interesting to see how those values are really shared, and that's what takes the basis of a relevant partnership.
It's fantastic. Now, Andrei, what do you see as Bitdefender helping the companies fill the skills gap? How do you see that fit?
Look, it's always interesting, and I think the industry evolved over the past few years. It used to be that people thought about various software components in their security stack as tooling itself, right? I think the mindset evolved towards organizations looking to really acquire an outcome, no longer a tool. And I think that's key because there are enough do-it-yourself surgery kits out there that do not necessarily deliver an outcome if you do not have the necessary skill set in-house. Our philosophy is, and in everything we deliver from a solutions perspective, we deliver with an outcome in mind. If we put together a new technology that we want to put in front of our customers, it has to include some of our thought process, some of our expertise. The solution is expected to work as much as possible out of the box without customers necessarily having to fine-tune it a whole bunch and take weeks upon weeks to get it started and long training cycles. So that's one side of the philosophy. Of course, not everything can be solved with a software tool. Our lives would have been so much easier if that would have been the case. So then you start looking at the added value you can deliver through a services organization. And I believe a very solid combination between solutions and services is really the key to address the skill shortage challenge we see in the industry.
I should add something. Okay, we have a business to consumers and a business to business. Okay? Looking to the business, I should add to what Andrei said, that we have also a special focus on SMBs and mid-markets. What that means, these organizations are short on cybersecurity skills by definition. Okay? So what doesn't matter what is happening in the market, they are short on these skills. And what Andrei said is, in fact, we purposely design some of our solutions to fit their specific needs, the scarcity they have. Okay, so that's additional to what Andrei said related to our market segments. How do we support?
Well, I think it's a very important point because, as we know, it moves so fast, and you can't be an expert in everything, but you guys can be the experts in cybersecurity. So it'd be great to have you on the team. That's for sure. Well, I'm going to direct this one now to you, Silvia and Luca. Ferrari was obviously born with the spirit of racing. And we all know that speed is paramount when it comes to racing, but the need for speed is also very critical in the importance of business today as cybersecurity teams need to react as fast as humanly possible. Let's touch upon the power of speed, an essential factor from a cybersecurity perspective. So Silvia, let's start with you. What does speed mean to you and your team from an IT security perspective? What are some of the ways that you maintain a secure environment while ensuring that the system slow downs?
So speed and being fast is really something you have to take in mind in everything you do. And I think that one of the most effective way of dealing with this need for speed is focus. So you need to focus on the priorities, and that's how you can respond to whether it's threat or an investment you have to do. So it's a matter of focusing on the key ones. And that's true in all our activities, I would say, because you have to work on modernization, digitization, and all the business needs that can daily count. So you need to prioritize and find the right focus on what really matters. That's how you can be speed enough, fast enough as to answer to the real key needs and questions that our business gives to us.
Luca, what does speed mean to you in your line of work at Ferrari?
Well, I think that there are a lot of similarities with the racetrack activities and what we do every day with my teams in cybersecurity, because if you consider a difference of thousand of part of second on a track, okay, could be a really deciding factor. The same is for us. So speed for me is try to follow and go ahead to the pace of the new threats that we deal every day. And this is again a challenge, because we have 10 people in our team follow cybersecurity more or less, and we deal with all the rest of the world. So we are one against all, and the pace is really different. They are more faster, and I think that using selected partners, for example, Bitdefender, that provide us this kind of threat intelligence analysis services, could improve and boost this kind of need that we have. And I think that in the end, the result must be a good result. So.
And then I think the similarity with the threat is that you really need a team to be fast enough. You need the mechanics that work with you. So it cannot be yourself. It's the whole team that needs to go as fast as you can.
Let's talk about that speed on the Bitdefender side. Florin, I'm going to ask you first. It's good guys versus bad guys. Everyone's trying to outwork each other. It's kind of like Ferrari on track, trying to outrace the bad guys, the other team. So Florin, how do you stay ahead of the bad guys? If it's this race of speed against the cyber criminals and the good guys, Bitdefender, how do you stay that one step ahead?
Okay, let's say it's not obvious, because looking to our competition, and I was asked yesterday during the discussions, okay, this is a real competition for us, okay? Because don't forget, when we talk about cyber or defense, we talk about the ones that are attacking. So they are your competitors, okay? And they are our competitors. And that's a race there, okay? Now, aside innovation, and I should mention again that looking to Bitdefender structure, half of our team is in R&D. That means that's a kind of illustration of our real focus on technology and improving and innovating, okay? And that's important because that's not new. That's the way we were born as a company, okay? Like where we were born 20 plus years ago. We were born on a specific need in the market, as we talked. The current, at that time, solutions in the market used to detect only existing threats, but were very weak in detecting new threats. And we were very focused on, let's say, creating a technology that succeed to detect new threats at that time. Okay, so that's on one side, innovation. But I should translate that kind also in a different. I should twist it a little bit, because looking to cybersecurity, we are all aware that there is not a perfect world. There is no such like we are secure. That's it. Okay. Also due to this race, but also to the technological innovation that is changing continuously the perimeter you have to defend. Okay? So one point here is, I'm referring to the speed and the difference in seconds, is related to the quality of what you're providing. It doesn't look like speed, but it's about numbers there, okay? And we always, as Bitdefender, thought as good enough is not good enough. that means just not one point, but a fraction of the point in improving your detection and response capability, or in the prevention side, could mean being breached or not by a company. So it's so dramatic in terms of impact. Okay, so improving that quality of what you're providing, prevention, detection, and response continuously, and there are different test organizations that are measuring that. Improving that and counting every digit there means for us speed also, okay? Because it makes the difference between once again being breached or not.
Well, so Andrei, we talked about technology obviously moving fast, and on the topic of AI, how do you stay ahead of the bad guys?
Well, I think Florin pretty much covered it, and everything Florin mentioned applies to any area of our practice, including AI. And look, I know over the past few months, AI became once again something that's being hyped and widely discussed. The reality is, I think it's been almost 15 years since our lab organization has added the first machine learning algorithm designed to provide generic detections. And by the way, you'll still be surprised that even some of the early forms of the technology are still detecting some of the modern attacks today. But I think consistency is important, and staying connected to the threat landscape, looking for ways in which you can make it extremely difficult for the attacker to be successful. And I strongly believe in a future where cybersecurity tooling, and this is one of our objectives internally when we develop certain mechanisms, certain technologies, certain detections, the more you are able to customize them and make technology adapt to a specific infrastructure, a specific environment, a specific baseline, the more you're going to be successful in having a much better chance of defending that infrastructure, defending that customer. Because we all know, and we were discussing about this earlier, every environment is unique. And that uniqueness of the infrastructure oftentimes serves as a baseline through which you can see what's not normal, what's anomalous. And for example, that's one of the key areas of investment for us when we thought about bringing extended detection and response to the market. Once you expand visibility and you get richer context across the infrastructure, the better you can start characterizing what's normal, what's good in that infrastructure, and starting to understand what's not. That's as a more practical direction, but I can't emphasize enough how important the talent pool is for this effort.
It takes a team. It takes a whole team. Well, Florin, cybersecurity has always been a business of trust, and trust is one of the core values of Bitdefender. It's what you've developed over the last 21 years, and it's a big part of the DNA of that company. For Bitdefender is the trust of its customers, businesses, and partners. That's what it's all about. For Ferrari, it's the trust between the different teams within the company. Engineering, technical, of course, on the racing side, the drivers. So, Andrei, maybe I'll kick off with you. How do you win the trust of both companies and individuals for the long term?
Well, we spent a little bit of time using racing as an analogy. Winning trust is really winning the championship. It's not about necessarily the race itself. It's about being there, delivering consistent quality over time to our customers, our partners, and I think trust is really earned over time, and quality is a significant influencer of trust. If we deliver on the outcomes that we promoted and really sold the customers on, that's how we start building trust. And trust, again, it cannot be emphasized enough, is definitely built over time.
Yeah, actually, let's say the life is not pure blue sky. Okay, there are clouds. We have seen a lot of clouds these days. So aside the technology, as Andrei mentioned, okay, it's also to be, and once again, I should emphasize, the trust, you earn the trust, is not given. Okay, so it takes time to earn the trust of the customer. Okay, so something bad could happen, okay, bad or worse, okay, and you have to be with your customer. In those situations, you have to change your priorities, and you have to support your customer to respond to the incident and so on. So these cases, the situation when you're on his side and fully engaged in helping him to go through. These are also building the trust in the future, because you feel like you have a real partner. You trust that partner, that even if you go through, let's say, tough times, you will be together and face the challenge.
So Luca, on a Ferrari standpoint, what are the significant sort of features that build trust, and how do you end up trusting a cybersecurity partner?
Well, it's difficult adding something after what we've just heard, because I think technology, resources, more or less everyone can buy the best-in-class products and so on. I think that I completely agree when we're talking about trust, because a partnership is something that at the beginning, okay, no one know very well each other. Then we start activities all together. We share success and of course some adverse event. But at the end, I think that the trust is I confirm that is the key for this kind of activities among suppliers, in particular in the field of cybersecurity.
So Silvia, what are your most standout sort of factors that you look for when you're trying to protect your digital assets?
I would say that it's in that sense it's innovation. I would say, meaning that it's really a matter of being so much at the forefront of what is changing. Because things that happened in the past, now you know how to cope. You have solved it, you have addressed it. What comes next? So for me, that's what I look for: innovation, the rate of innovation, the investment in R&D, and that's on a, let's say, technical side. And then regarding trust, that was your first question. It's really a matter of values, and it's not like a slogan. It's real, because when you talk to people, and at the end of the day, it's a matter of people working together. And so if you share the same values, you have the same views, you believe in the same things, you can also work together and face the difficulties and the challenges, tasks that you have. So that's very important for us when we build those long-term relationships and partnerships. We don't see them as suppliers, they are partners, and we work together. And to do that, you need to share values. Otherwise, it's a marriage that is not going to work.
If I may add just a comment from a technical point of view, a practical example. When we're talking about trust, okay, we receive a lot of information. And if we can rely and we trust the information we receive, we can save a lot of time and focus our attention on the things that really matter. For example, during an attack, if we really trust the information we receive, okay, maybe we can are more faster, and this is a sort of positive and virtuous cycle.
Again, some shared values that I'm seeing are coming out of this partnership. Well, Florin, last year in September, we're obviously celebrating the partnership between Scuderia Ferrari and Bitdefender, a multi-year partnership to become team partner, which is off to a great start. And starting this season, Bitdefender has unveiled enhancements to this partnership, including the display of the Bitdefender logo on the crown of the Scuderia Ferrari drivers' helmets, and of course the halo, the racing suits. And they are some of the key safety elements when we go Formula One racing. So now that the partnership extends beyond branding and becomes a technology partnership, this is very exciting. So Florin, what are you announcing today in terms of the next evolution of this partnership? And congratulations.
Thank you. So you mentioned the hello and the helmet, okay? So we started to think about what means safety for the pilots, okay? So when we have to think about where to have the logos on the car, okay? I shouldn't say that we have all the options in the world, but let's say we had several options. So we thought that what's our mission and how our mission should translate, in fact, in having the logos on the car. So, of course, being in the safety business for the team was somehow easy to pick up exactly the safety element for the pilots. Once again, we are protecting the digital life of the companies, our organizations, and consumers. So it's somehow easy to think about these safety elements. Now, coming these days, as we learned from Silvia and Luca, the infrastructure of a company like Ferrari is complex. So, of course, when you're thinking about securing such an infrastructure, you are using an ecosystem of solutions, of cybersecurity solutions, okay? Now, we started the partnership. We, as a cybersecurity company, of course, we want to be a kind of two sides, to have the partnership two sides, okay? It's like also would like, and everyone would like in this world, to have Ferrari on the list of customers, okay? So now we are going to the next stage, in fact, and already we have our partners picking up one of the technologies we are providing to the market, and Andrei will give you more details on that. So we are among the partners that are aiming to secure the Ferrari infrastructure, and that's the next stage, okay? We are saying it's the beginning of the journey of the partnership. Today we are making a step for the next stages. And we hope we'll work together. And once we build the trust to get deeper into our partnership, I leave with Andrei to talk about what's about it.
Look, in the very beginning of this panel, Silvia mentioned something extremely important. The first thing Ferrari is looking at Bitdefender to provide is expertise. And threat intelligence is, in a sense, a form of expertise as a service. When you think about threat intelligence, really threat intelligence has three key ingredients to it. Bitdefender has an extensive global set of sensors that are really deployed to every customer and to every technology partner. Having global visibility into the threat landscape that's provided by those sensors is key. It contributes to the quality of a threat intelligence solution. The second key ingredient is the human expertise that's added by our R&D department. Someone needs to make sense to a certain point of the immense amount of data that's being interpreted. And I think the last but equally important ingredient is some of the activities we're doing with law enforcement organizations worldwide. When you are running active investigations, that's when you have the potential of uncovering novel attack techniques, something net new that has been noticed, and upon further investigation, it will really boost the value of the knowledge a partner expects to receive from you. TI is really a very specific technology that's, in a sense, the lifeblood of a security operations center. You cannot expect a security operations center to be effective without having proper threat intelligence. It's like they would be half-blind. And I think if you ask any SOC analyst in the world, they're going to tell you they need relevant, timely, and actionable intelligence. That's going to make their life extremely better in terms of putting them in a better position to understand what's going on in their infrastructure through all sorts of techniques like threat hunting, being able to detect early if something bad is happening in the infrastructure, and putting them in a position to have that surgical response to any anomaly that they might notice. I would say this is in a nutshell threat intelligence, and I think this is a great start to our partnership, where, going back to trust, this is how we build trust, by demonstrating value through our expertise.
Yeah, I just should add some numbers here, okay? So probably something we have is the fact that we have a number of sensors, okay? Because when you're talking about threat intel, you talk about how do you collect that, and you talk about over 100,000 businesses that are using our technology solutions. We talk about millions of consumers using our solutions. We talk about some of the biggest technology companies of the world that are integrating our technologies there. So we have a large base to gather all this intel. So we are well positioned to build such, let's say, solutions and services.
Well, Silvia and Luca, how does the adoption of Bitdefender's technology strengthen the cybersecurity posture of Ferrari?
Well, as we shared before, we are at the starting of our collaboration from a technical point of view. So we just started the activity to set up our team, okay, regarding this kind of activity. Of course, the level of expectation for me is very high, because again, a good information received in the right way at the right time must be the real critical success factor. So, okay, what we can share now is that we see that we are facing the base for a long and strong cooperation among our companies. And of course, I think that in the upcoming months, when we try for real the capability of the solution, we will provide, of course, an update, okay, but for the time being, what we see is something which is very, very interesting.
Yeah, and in addition to the tools, the threat intelligence, another component which is very interesting for us is the services, because it complements the expertise and the talents you have inside with external expertise and external support, and this, wider perspective and experience that you can bring. And that's one thing. And then, of course, the additional solutions that we evaluate and see how they fit into our landscape will be part of the next steps. But I think that a very interesting point that came out of this starting of the relation is the willingness, also on the Bitdefender side, to learn from us, from our needs, what could be not only specific to Ferrari, but also common to other customers that share our same relevance in being a target for attack or having certain kind of infrastructure and architecture. So it's really a two-sided relationship, and that's what we expect from that.
Well, congratulations again on the partnership. So maybe, Andrei, if I could get you first, can you walk us through these specific tools that you'll be providing under this partnership to Ferrari?
I think I just did by describing threat intelligence earlier. So I think our general expectation is to use threat intelligence and create a solid foundation for a continuous partnership that's going to expand in different areas like Silvia and Luca described. If you want to add something, Florin?
Just a few words. You already mentioned. Okay, finally, it's about getting visibility and context. Okay, it's like, for example, improving threat hunting or speeding up incident response in all these kind of situations. The technology is very useful. So it's kind of good support for the security operations center people and so on. So it's that kind of. Okay.
And Silvia and Luca, the big question is, why did you choose Bitdefender?
So, as I mentioned, when we build sponsorships, partnership, we see them as a long term, right? So they invest a lot, we invest a lot, and it's a matter of sharing same values and same perspectives, same goals, so that you can work together. And when we meet to build, to the agreement, you understand whether there is a field for collaboration or not. And so we had the first encounters with our colleagues, and we understood that it could be really a good partner for us, and so that's how it was chosen. And I really saw this strive for innovation, this human touch in the team that was really key to trust this partner. And cybersecurity is probably one of the areas where this is the most relevant.
And Luca, anything to add on selecting Bitdefender?
Well, just a little comment. We saw a very extensive portfolio of services, capabilities, and so on. And also, we were attracted by their flexibility and willingness to the adaptation to our context, exactly what Andrei shared with us at the beginning of our speech. And so I think that for a partnership, those are the key elements. So value, adaptability, and of course resources and skills. So I think that we have all the ingredients for a success.
Perfect. And Andrei, we're very excited about hearing more about this innovative partnership and also the solutions that you're providing. Why do you think it's necessary for a company to implement this kind of intelligence with contextual insights focused on attack information? How do you think you'll see Ferrari using it?
Look, I think in the end, the objective is driving towards the outcome that I keep getting back to. And what I would honestly expect to see out of this partnership is a net improvement in the day-to-day operations of the SOC. A better output in terms of how resources are being utilized and optimization in the way they spend time analyzing different attacks, because they are provided with additional threat context that generally saves time when it comes with a level of correlation between things like threat actors, various indicators of compromise, different TTPs. That level of context that's being provided through threat intelligence is generally optimizing the day-to-day life. So I would expect a boost in security operations quality of life, if I may. And I would be, and trust me, we are going to have conversations at various checkpoints. I would be very interested to see, even if we find a way to really measure it in an intrinsic way.
Fantastic. Well, we are getting closer to the Q&A part of this session. So I'm just going to look for some final thoughts now with our panel. I might direct this one to you, Florin, if I can. Why did you choose to make this announcement here today, and why is it meaningful for Bitdefender?
It's the first time I'm coming here. Okay, so I was just walking through the museum. Is impressive. It's history. And when I'm saying it's history, is not the past. It's about milestones in the car industry. Okay. We talk about the headquarters of Ferrari, and once again, it's about one of the brands in the car industry having the largest number of fans. And we talk about a brand that is not selling a mass car, okay, but it's full of technology, innovation, talent, striving for excellence, teaming, and so on. Okay, so it's the perfect place to get. Okay, we missed something, the race. Okay, is not our fault. Okay, unfortunately, but I think it's the perfect. Still, is the perfect place to do the announcement.
Perfect. And Luca, how do you see this project moving forward from this point?
Well, we met yesterday with the technical guys, and all of us were very excited to start the first activities because, okay, in a sort of natural way, we share common ideas. It's very strange because no one each other before the meeting. And so the meeting starts with more than 1 hour of free conversation. For me, it's the first time with a partner. Okay, and I think it's a good signal for a positive collaboration. So after this kind of kickoff, if you can call it kickoff, only then we open our PC and start the discussion from a technical point of view. So we are really starting from the foundation of our knowledge, and then we are ready to move to the next stage, which is the technical one. So my expectation is starting in the upcoming days with the first activities. Yes.
Luca, if I may, for the esteemed members of the press, we don't like PowerPoint, and apparently they don't either.
Oh, just one slide. Two slides. Okay. We saw just 2 slides. Okay, for sake of clarity.
Well, fantastic. Well, if you can agree on that, I'm sure that it's off to a fantastic start. We are just about to now get into our Q&A part of this panel, but just some final remarks from me. I think it's quite clear that the partnership between Ferrari and, of course, now Bitdefender is off to a brilliant start. Shared values, that came up. You've discovered that yesterday and just before in that room that a lot of those values that you hold at Bitdefender are also shared at Ferrari, and I think that's very important. Obviously, we're in the game of technology, and I think we're in the game of speed. And I think that more and more it's quite evident that this is a partnership of true shared values, but also passions as well. And that's definitely coming through. So I'm looking forward to seeing this come to life throughout the multi-year partnership. So congratulations again.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Alberto Iglesias from Spain. Luca mentioned about the 10 people working on cybersecurity inside Ferrari and also the importance of the Cyber Operations Center. I want to know a little bit more about the landscape in cybersecurity inside Ferrari. How are you working in the SOC that you have? And also how you going Bitdefender to integrate on that? Because you have mentioned that is at the beginning, but what is the roadmap that you have? If you can share later more detail.
Okay. I'm trying to provide you an answer with the information that I can share with you. Of course, we have a dedicated team that follows cybersecurity matter. Of course, we have a lot of providers, partners, external partners. Bitdefender is one of them. Of course, we're at the beginning of our collaboration. I think that we can say we have a lot of products. My goals, our goal, our mission is working in the sense that each tool works well together and create a sort of good shield for our company, for Ferrari. Okay, so I think that with the addition of Bitdefender, of course, we can strengthen our posture. Okay, so we are looking to improve our cybersecurity posture.
So, Andrei startup.ro, we know that basically making this technical partnership is not as simple as consumers uninstalling the software, installing the other one. So, how does it work, and in what parts of the organization there will be products from Bitdefender? Are we talking commercial, Scuderia Ferrari F1, endurance, GT?
So I think that the easy answer is that we are the digital and data, so the information technology team for the whole company. And that makes things easier because we normally share resources. So they are common for all of the businesses. All businesses are equally relevant for us, and we need to protect all of them. So we will apply if there are certain specificities of the business that requires different tools for different different environments, for different specificities. Of course, we will direct those ones. But generally speaking, it's really one company in that sense. It's really trivial, even because you can have synergies and makes things much easier to maybe you start in a business and then you adopt to in another. But in this case in particular, it's more widespread.
Yeah. Cybersecurity is company-wide.
No bubbles. No bubbles.
No.
Adrian Săcelanu from the financial business newspaper Ziarul Financiar in Romania. So no surprise, I guess. I want to know if Ferrari is a paying customer right now for Bitdefender. I'm trying to understand if it's different from the branding and sponsorship and the discussion that we had earlier. And could I plead for a fourth question? We have 4 speakers, so maybe another one. Thank you.
So it's a commercial agreement that, of course, means that we are also getting products and services from Bitdefender. Yes, of course. So we are buying. Yes.
And one last question.
I am Salvatore, nice to meet you. I remember it was 10 years ago, Ferrari issued a bizarre rule related to email, and it was forbidden to send emails to more than 3 people. And that was to improve collaboration. So in IT, that kind of decision is Ferrari. It's an IT Ferrari, not a physical Ferrari. So my question for you is if you think that Ferrari can become producer of digital Ferraris or cyber Ferraris that can lead and inspire the rest of the companies. So question is, what are your plans? If you do have plans to have also that role outside of being a car manufacturer.
So actually, well, first of all, I wasn't aware of that rule. But for sure, it's not in place anymore. So collaboration is really fostered and enabled. There are already digital Ferraris. If you go in esports, there are Ferraris. If you go, I mean, today, this year we won a prize for GT Vision, which is the car of the future, which will not be built. It's just digital. So digital is part of the way you develop cars. It's absolutely a key step of the product development. And at the same time, for us, it's an asset that we are leveraging on esports and this kind of environment. Further developments, whether it's metaverse or whatever, we will see. But I think it's easy when you already build your cars in a digital way. Then you can decide where to deliver, where to deploy them.
Okay. Here you are. 3 more questions.
Thank you. I'm Ioana Matei from Business Magazine Romania. We are a business magazine, so we are not quite very technical. But I am curious with which type of threats the group confronts most of the time. Can you give us some examples regarding the manufacturing process, not only the Formula One team, and how can Bitdefender be a better partner for you to identify these threats?
Okay, I try to provide you an answer. I think that we face a lot of threats. We don't face different threats in relation to other big companies. So, for example, attacks coming from phishing, for example, is one of the most frequent because the human factor, of course, is the a good yes, of course, but it's the good entry point in the companies, and of course, after that, an attacker tries to move all around to find some other weak point. I think that the solution of threat intelligence provided by Bitdefender, as I said to you before, will improve the quality of information that we already have, okay, and provide a support in the detection, and of course reduce the attack surface.
Hello, I'm Luis Peralta from Spain also, from 5 Días. We've seen in the past that celebrities are actually really attractive victims for cyber criminals. Is this the case also of pilots, of F1 drivers? Do they have any special protocols or any different treatment than the other persons in the company?
As I said before, cybersecurity is company-wide. Of course, we adopt different measures for a specific sector of our company. Of course, we are talking about, from one side, cybersecurity measures that are, from a certain point of view, more IT-oriented, but on the other side, we also follow a strict protocol from physical security, in particular during the Grand Prix, the travels, and so on. Of course, I cannot disclose more information, but yes, we follow all the scope of Ferrari.
Since we ran out of time, that is the very last question.
Hi, I'm Damien Licata from Le Parisien. I have a question for Ferrari, obviously. What's the biggest threat out there? Is that random attackers, or is it more like your competitors cyber spying on you?
Yes. Okay, I use the same messages. Maybe I can share some details with you. What we can say for sure is that in the past we deal with single individual. Today we deal with proper criminal organization. So this is the real game changer.